Close your eyes and imagine the vast emerald canopy of an ancient Mesoamerican forest. As the golden sun dips below the horizon, the vibrant daytime world of monumental stone pyramids and sprawling plazas slowly fades into quiet whispers. The warmth of the day is replaced by a cool, mysterious twilight. For the ancient peoples who lived here, this transition was not just a shift in light, but a gateway to another realm. In the shadows of this majestic landscape, a powerful force was about to wake up. This was a creature of absolute mystery, a silent glider of the canopy who held the secrets of the night. Today, we embark on an epic journey to uncover one of the most fascinating legends of the ancient world. A story that bridges the gap between deep historical archives, terrifying prehistoric creatures, and even modern-day pop culture icons. Welcome to the untold history of the legendary Mesoamerican Shadow Guardian. The ancient Maya did not view the night as merely an absence of light. To them, the setting of the sun was a profound cosmic event, a moment when the barrier between our world and the supernatural realms grew paper thin. In this delicate space of twilight, the skies became the domain of a majestic yet deeply intimidating entity. This figure was known to the Quiché Maya as Camazotz. The name itself is an ancient testament to the power of the nocturnal sky. Formed from the ancient words meaning the final transition and the winged creature of the night, Camazotz translates to the snatch bat, or the shadow that sweeps down to claim what belongs to the darkness. Unlike many creatures of myth, this entity was not viewed as a simple monster of destruction. Instead, the ancient peoples understood the bat as a vital guardian of balance. Bats are the ultimate symbols of liminality, creatures that exist in the spaces between. They possess the fur of a beast, yet they glide through the air with the grace of a bird. They spend the daylight hours hanging upside down in the absolute darkness of deep subterranean caverns, only to emerge in massive swirling clouds as the sun goes down. To the Mesoamericans, these caves were not just geological formations. They were the sacred entrances to Xibalba, the subterranean world of the spirit ancestors and the lords of the night. Every evening, as thousands of these winged creatures poured out of the earth's natural openings and sacred cenotes, it appeared as though the very essence of the underworld was rising to reclaim the surface. This chilling sight at dusk was a daily reminder of the inevitable cycle of existence. The bat was the guide, the traveler of both worlds, carrying the souls of those who had departed this life through the perilous trials of the spirit realm, helping them find their way before the judgment of the ancient guardians. While it is easy to relegate Camazotz to the pages of fantasy, modern science has revealed a startling truth. The legend of the giant, flying consumer of life essence, was rooted in a terrifying biological reality. In the tropical ecosystems of Central and South America, the bat is an incredibly diverse and successful mammal. Most of these species are entirely peaceful, feeding on insects, forest fruits, or sweet nectar. However, there exists a highly specialized group that survives solely on the vital fluid of other living beings. The common vampire bat, known as Desmodus rotundus, is famous for its nocturnal feeding habits. It uses specialized thermal sensors to locate the warmth of sleeping prey, making a tiny, painless incision with its razor-sharp front teeth, and using its unique saliva to keep the vital fluid flowing. But this modern creature is relatively small, possessing a modest wingspan of only about 8 inches. The myths of Camazotz, however, describe a massive, imposing predator with a presence large enough to overshadow a human. For generations, researchers believed this was merely an exaggeration. Then, in the year 1965, deep within the limestone chambers of the Cueva del Guacharo in Venezuela, paleontologist Omar Linares uncovered a secret buried in the stone. He discovered the fossilized remains of a colossal, extinct relative of the vampire bat. Formerly described by scientists in 1988, this prehistoric giant was named Desmodus Draculae, commonly known as the giant vampire bat. The physical proportions of Desmodus Draculae were astonishing. It was at least 30% larger than its modern relative, boasting a wingspan that reached nearly 20 inches, or 50 centimeters. It possessed a heavy, elongated skull and incredibly robust skeletal structures, indicating a powerful, muscular flyer. Paleontologists believe this massive predator did not feed on small forest birds. Instead, it targeted the majestic megafauna of the Pleistocene epoch, including towering ground sloths, ancient horses, and massive prehistoric herbivores. As these great beasts began to vanish from the earth, the giant vampire bat faced a devastating crisis. Unable to sustain its large frame on smaller prey. Yet, the story does not end in the distant past. Unmineralized remains, bones so fresh they had not yet fully turned to stone, have been recovered from cave systems across Central and South America, including the Xibalba cave in Belize. Most incredibly, a canine tooth discovered in Argentina was retrieved from sediments estimated to be only 300 years old, suggesting this giant flying consumer of life essence may have survived as late as the year 1650. This means the earliest human populations in Mesoamerica did not have to imagine a giant, flying consumer of vital fluid. They shared the dark, unlit jungles with a very real, massive predator that ruled the night. The visceral memory of an encounter with this giant in the dark of a cave became the foundation upon which the terrifying legend of Camazotz was built. To find the earliest formalized worship of this shadow deity, we must travel back over 2,000 years to the valley of Oaxaca in southern Mexico. Here, the magnificent Zapotec civilization established one of Mesoamerica's first true urban centers atop the artificially leveled mountain of Monte Alban. The Zapotecs were keen observers of the natural world, and in their complex spiritual system, the bat occupied a place of supreme importance. Known in their ancestral tongue as Piquetezia, the Zapotec bat deity was deeply connected to the mysteries of the earth, the transition of ancestors, and the cycle of agriculture. Zapotec artisans captured the essence of this powerful entity in spectacular ceramic funerary urns and stone carvings, placing them inside the tombs of their esteemed rulers to act as eternal guardians of the departed. The most famous and breathtaking artifact of this ancient devotion was discovered deep within the tomb chambers of Monte Alban, the legendary Mask of the Bat God. This masterpiece of ancient lapidary art is crafted from 25 separate, highly polished pieces of dark green jade, a stone more precious than gold to the peoples of Mesoamerica. The face features prominent stylized ears, a powerful jaw, and piercing eyes fashioned from delicate fragments of yellow shell. Yet, despite the imposing, twilight nature of this mask, the Zapotec relationship with Piquetezia was not based on simple fear. The bat was intimately linked to Pitao Kuzobi, the benevolent deity of maize, and Kokoho, the powerful force of rain and lightning. To the ancient mind, the dark, moist interior of a cave was identical to the dark, moist soil of the earth. It was within this darkness that a seed had to be placed, allowed to decay, and ultimately be transformed to rise again as a vibrant green plant. Therefore, the bat, as the master of the underground, was seen as a crucial agent of fertility and agricultural renewal. The Zapotecs recognized that the natural world required a balance of light and shadow, growth and decay. The bat's journey into the earth was a metaphor for the seeds of maize, promising that even in the deepest darkness, the spark of new life was preparing to return. The sacred legacy of the winged guardian of the night extended deep into the misty, pine-covered highlands of Chiapas in southern Mexico. In this rugged, beautiful landscape, we find the Tzotzil Maya, an indigenous population whose very name is a living monument to their ancient connection with the creature. In their native tongue, the word Tzotzil translates directly to the bat people, or the people of the bat. Their ancestral home and ceremonial center was named Zinacantan, a word bestowed by Nahuatl-speaking Aztec traders that translates to the place of bats. In their own language, the Tzotzil refer to their sacred territory as Tzotzleb, the land of the winged gliders of the night. For this resilient culture, the bat was not a symbol of dread, but a revered ancestor and a source of profound spiritual identity. According to their oldest oral histories preserved through generations of storytelling, the founders of the Tzotzil nation were wandering through the highlands when they discovered a remarkable, naturally formed stone bat. Recognizing this stone as a vessel of divine energy and a sign from the heavens, they adopted the bat as their primary protector and guardian spirit. Spanish chronicles from the 17th century record that the colonial authorities actively sought out and destroyed a sacred stone bat idol that the Tzotzil worshipped, hoping to erase their ancient beliefs. Yet, the spiritual connection could not be broken. The Tzotzil believed that the bat possessed a unique soul, known as a wehel, a companion spirit that could transition effortlessly between the physical earth and the celestial sky. The bat was viewed as a powerful ally against external forces, a guardian that watched over their mountain valleys and ensured the prosperity of their communities. Even as the centuries passed and new traditions were introduced, the pride of the bat people remained untouched, reflected in their exquisite, vibrant textiles and their deep, enduring respect for the natural world that surrounds their mountain home. During the classic Maya period, which flourished between 200 and 900 years after the start of our Common Era, the symbolism of the bat reached its highest level of political and artistic sophistication. Throughout this era of grand city-states, the face of the leaf-nosed bat became a symbol of supreme royal authority and dynastic legitimacy. The most prominent evidence of this is found in the ancient writing system of the Maya. Important cities were identified by unique emblem glyphs, and at the colossal jungle metropolis of Calakmul, the seat of the immensely powerful Snake Kingdom, rulers frequently utilized the head of a leaf-nosed bat as a prestigious royal title. For over 3 centuries, the sovereign lords of Calakmul and neighboring centers like Oxbemiel carved this bat emblem into their monumental stone stelae. By adopting the bat as their royal crest, these divine rulers were projecting a message of absolute cosmic authority. They were declaring to their subjects and their rivals that they held keys to the portals of the underworld, that they could walk through the darkness of the night with absolute confidence, and that their power was sanctified by the ancient forces of the spirit realm. However, the classic Maya were also brilliant observers of their environment, and they recognized that the bat possessed a dual nature. In their delicate pottery paintings, the bat is often depicted as a wahi spirit, a dark bestial companion soul of a sorcerer or a king, representing the personification of severe illness. Because bats live in damp, enclosed cave environments that harbor respiratory infections, and because certain species consume vital fluid, the Maya associated them with the spread of unseen contagions. On ceremonial vases, these bat spirits are shown exuding dark, swirling scrolls or sparks of fire from their mouths, symbolizing the release of harmful vapors over the territories of their enemies. Yet, this shadow aspect was perfectly balanced by the bat's agricultural significance. The Maya observed that many of the most valuable fruit trees in their tropical forests, as well as the sacred agave plants, bloomed only under the cover of darkness. They watched as bats hovered in the moonlight, gently drinking nectar and carrying life-giving pollen from blossom to blossom. In this role, the bat was celebrated as a crucial partner of the hummingbird, a silent helper of the maize god who ensured that the cycle of growth and harvest remained unbroken. To discover the most famous and dramatic chapter of the bat's legend, we must turn to the pages of the Popol Vuh, the sacred creation narrative of the Kichi Maya. This monumental text records the epic adventures of the legendary hero twins, Hunahpu and Xbalanque, as they descend into the subterranean kingdom of Xibalba to challenge the deceptive lords of the underworld. Before they could confront the rulers of Xibalba in the legendary ball game, the twins were forced to endure a gauntlet of severe trials, designed to overcome their strength and resolve. They were placed in various houses of torment, including the freezing cold of the rattling house, the fierce heat of the firehouse, and the predatory hunters of the jaguar house. Through their magic and quick thinking, the twins survived every challenge until they were ushered into the most dangerous chamber of all, Tzotzil, the House of Bats. The Popol Vuh describes Tzotzil as a cavern of absolute, suffocating darkness, inhabited not by ordinary animals, but by a swarm of colossal, supernatural bat spirits. These entities possessed humanoid bodies with the wings and faces of leaf-nosed bats, and their snouts and wings were tipped with razor-sharp blades of obsidian and flint. As the twins entered the chamber, the air filled with the deafening, high-pitched shrieks of these creatures as they circled in the gloom, their bladed wings clashing and clattering in the dark. To protect themselves from the aerial onslaught, Hunahpu and Xibalba crawled inside their own wooden blowguns, curling up tightly within the hollow tubes to shield their bodies from the slashing blades. For hours they lay perfectly still as the bats swarmed around them, scratching at the wood. But as the long night began to fade, a profound, eerie silence suddenly fell over the cavern. Believing that the dawn had finally arrived and the danger had passed, Hunahpu decided to check the horizon. He slowly eased himself up and peeked his head out of the protective tube to look for the first light of morning. It was a fatal mistake. Moving with blinding supernatural speed, a massive Camazotz swooped down from the ceiling of the cave. With a single devastating sweep of its bladed wing, the shadow entity separated Hunahpu's head from his body, carrying the prize away into the depths of the underworld. The Snatchbat presented the head to the lords of Xibalba, who rejoiced in their apparent triumph, and hung the trophy in their great ball court to serve as the ball for the upcoming game. However, Xibalba was not defeated. Using his extraordinary magic, he fashioned a temporary head for his brother out of a carved squash. During the game, through clever strategy and the help of a friendly rabbit, Xibalba managed to recover his brother's true head, restoring Hunahpu to his complete form and ultimately conquering the forces of Xibalba forever. The role of Camazotz in Mesoamerican lore extends far beyond his encounter with the hero twins. In the historical and mythological traditions of the Highland Maya, preserved in both the Popol Vuh and the annals of the Capchicals, the bat deity is remembered as a central figure in the very foundation of human civilization and the origins of sacred ritual. According to these ancient accounts, there was a time in the distant past when the first generations of humanity were suffering immensely. The world was cold, dark, and damp, and the people shivered in the shadows, desperately praying for warmth, light, and the power to cook their food. Hearing their cries, a grand messenger from the underworld emerged from the darkness. This was a majestic winged humanoid bat, acting as the emissary of Lord Tzotzil, the patron deity of fire and rain. The messenger presented humanity with a profound and heavy bargain. Lord Tzotzil would gladly grant the sacred gift of fire, allowing the people to warm their homes, protect their families, and build their great cities. However, this power of creation could not be given without a reciprocal agreement. The Bat Messenger demanded that in exchange for the warmth of the flame, humanity must pledge to surrender their armpits and their waists to the gods. This phrase was a highly specific, traditional Mesoamerican metaphor. The area between the armpits and the waist represents the chest cavity, where the vital organ of the human body resides. The covenant established by the Bat Messenger was the origin of the sacred ritual of tribute and offering. The ancient peoples understood that the cosmic balance required constant reciprocity. To hold the power of fire, a force belonging to the gods, humanity had to offer a portion of their own vital essence in return. This pact forged a deep, unbreakable bond between the survival of human society and the continuous performance of sacred rituals designed to honor the lords of the night. The great stone cities of the Maya eventually faded, reclaimed by the silent advance of the tropical forest, and the ancient altars grew quiet. Yet, the archetype of the winged shadow of the night did not disappear. Instead, Camazotz experienced a spectacular modern resurrection, migrating into the realms of literature, gaming, and visual arts, continuing to captivate the human imagination. One of the most notable modern uses of the name occurs in Madeleine L. Engel, classic 1962 science fantasy novel, A Wrinkle in Time. In this story of cosmic struggle, the characters travel to a dark, cold planet named Camazotz. On this world, the inhabitants have surrendered their individuality and free will to a massive, pulsating intelligence known as It, which forces everyone to live in absolute, robotic conformity. L. Engel chose the name intentionally, drawing on the ancient Mesoamerican concept of the underworld. Just as the ancient Camazotz was the master of a realm where individual identity was lost in the shadows, the fictional planet of Camazotz represents the ultimate destruction of the human spirit through forced conformity. In the world of interactive entertainment, the deity found a new home in the popular online game, Smite. Here, Camazotz is presented as a formidable, agile assassin, whose character, design, and abilities are deeply rooted in both his mythological lore and the biological traits of the giant vampire bat. Players can unleash his dread screech to detect hidden enemies, or use his vampiric fangs to siphon the vital essence of his foes to restore his own health. By gamifying these ancient attributes, the creators have kept the spirit of the nocturnal hunter alive for a global audience. The comic book universe has also embraced this dark legend. In Mike Mignola Hellboy series, specifically the story Hellboy in Mexico, we are introduced to Esteban Ruiz, a heroic wrestler who dedicates his life to protecting small towns from nocturnal threats. Tragically, Esteban is captured by dark forces and transformed into a powerful winged monster that takes on the name of Camazotz. This character serves as a classic tragic figure, a protector who has been forced into the shadows, struggling with a monstrous form he did not choose. Perhaps the most spectacular fusion of ancient myth and modern pop culture occurred in 2014. During the celebration of Batman's 75th anniversary, the Mexican Museum of Design hosted an exhibition where 30 artists were invited to redesign the iconic Batman cowl. Designer Christian Pacheco, working under the name Kimball, created a stunning piece inspired directly by Camazotz. He covered the cowl in intricate Mayan relief carvings, using colors and patterns inspired by the ancient ceramic vessels found at Palenque, and applied a weathered finish that made the sculpture look like a long-lost archaeological artifact. Images of this Mayan Batman went viral across the globe, with many believing it was a genuine 2,000-year-old relic. The viral success of this artwork demonstrated a profound truth. The human fascination with a dark, winged protector of the night is a universal archetype. Whether we call him a modern superhero or an ancient Mesoamerican deity, the shadow of the bat continues to soar through our stories, a timeless guardian of the mysteries that lie just beyond the edge of the light.